Welcome to the Courage to Be podcast with Tania Vasallo. Before we get into this episode, I want to share with you that I'm on a mission to close the gender gap in the podcasting world so that more and more women's voices are heard. If you feel that this is something you value too, then please rate, review, and share the podcast. And in exchange, and as my way to say thank you to you, I want to give you free access to my signature course called Manifesting Abundance, which typically sells for $997. All you have to do to gain access is leave me a review on Apple Podcasts, take a snapshot of it, and send it to help.thecouragetobe@gmail.com, and we'll get you set up with access to the course. Welcome back to the Courage to Be, where we have powerful conversations to transform your life and your business. And we are in our mentorship call with Lauren Kester. Today, I'm very excited about this particular class and teaching because we're going deeper into intuition and human design. If you want to listen to her whole episode, feel free to jump into the podcast and look for Lauren's episode. So welcome back, Lauren. I'm excited to have you here.
This is so fun. I truly talking about astrology, human design, intuition. It gives me so much energy. So thank you for giving me this platform.
I love it. So yes, where do you want to take us this morning with intuition?
Yeah. So I'm a coach, astrologer, and I use human design and astrology to help my clients to come back to themselves and really listen to themselves. And something that I've found is so valuable across the board for most of my clients is learning how their intuition sounds depending on their human design. And so human design, for anyone who's unfamiliar, it's a self-development tool and it's pretty woo-woo. It combines astrology, the I Ching, Kabbalah, the chakra system, and it's a map of how we be in the world. And it's dynamic, it's super interesting, but everyone has a main way that their intuition speaks to them in human design. And so giving myself permission to lean into this has been a way that I've been really able to hear my own intuition. And the same goes for my clients. When they give themselves this permission to lean into listening, they're really able to take more action from their intuition instead of their logic. So for anyone who wants to know their type, I'm going to go into all the types. I recommend going to www.myhumandesign.com. You can also just search human design and find a generator. And you'll need your birthday, birthplace, and birth time in order to get your specific type. The birth time is going to be important. I know not everybody has it. See if you can find your birth certificate. Even if it's annoying, it's going to be worth it, I promise, because it's going to be even more precise. It's not as precise if you don't have your birth time. So myhumandesign.com, and then we're going to look at how your authority. So your authority in human design is essentially how your intuition speaks to you. So my caveat is that your intuition speaks to you in many different ways. This is just, according to human design, the primary way that it speaks to you. And so your authority, you're going to have one authority, and it's going to be different for everybody. And I'm just going to run through the different types. So remember, keep in mind, there's nuance. Your intuition can speak to you in multiple ways. This is just the main way. So first up, in human design, we have an emotional authority. And those of us who have an emotional authority are guided by their emotional response to situations. The key, if you're an emotional authority, is that you need to go slow to go fast. You should not make a decision when you're overly emotional, either high emotional, positive, or negative. In order to really make an intuitive decision or to make a decision that you're going to not regret later on, you really need to wait for clarity from your emotions before you take action. So really calming down so you're out of the emotional waves before you take any action is the key to really hearing the clear, intuitive answer if you are an emotional authority. So this is really common with projectors. Anyone, I think, can have this type, but slow down to go fast. All right, so moving on to sacral authority. This is actually what I have. This is one of the most common types, and it is prevalent in generators and manifesting generators, which we could go into on a different class, but it's really about listening to our gut. Sacral authority or sacral center in the chakras is really in that gut place. It's a gut level instinct. So when we have a choice and we're a sacral authority, we need to listen to our gut, and it can feel like an affirmative yes or a no. And if it's a maybe, we need to ask ourselves yes or no questions until we can discern if we're feeling a yes or a no. And so if it's a maybe, keep asking yourself yes or no questions. And that's going to help you to actually hear what is your truth. It's very much an energy of if it's not a hell yes, it's a hell no, until you get to the yes.
Can I just pause you 1 second, Lauren? Is the sacral authority, because I'm looking at my own chart, this something that we're looking to interpret that way, no matter whether we're a generator, a manifestor, a projector, or okay.
The authority is this guiding post of how to hear yourself. And so you're going to have your main type, which will be your manifesting generator, reflector, projector. But the authority is always like the guiding post for hearing myself. And so it can take different flavors. But for generators and manifesting generators, I think are the prevalent ones for sacral authority. It is very much a gut feeling, but I have this type and I feel a pull in my gut. It usually feels like a physical forward momentum or back, but I also experience my intuition in other ways, but this is the prevalent way, if that helps. And then we have something called the splenic authority. So the splenic authority, it is very soft. It is very quiet. It is the most, when we think of intuition, splenic authority is usually what we would consider to be what we know our intuition to be, because it's very in the moment, soft, immediate, instinctual, but it's very, very quiet. And so it can be hard to hear if you have splenic authority. So if you have a splenic authority, it's really important to spend time with yourself and to be taking action from those whispers, because they'll get louder the more we listen to them. And so the thing with splenic authority as well is that sometimes if we don't take the action right away, we lose it. We lose the instinct, the intuition. And so you gotta be in your body, be moving through life mindfully, and then you're gonna hear it more easily because it's very, very quiet, which is not very easy. Ego authority actually are folks who are meant to make their decisions based on a sense of what makes them feel empowered. They need to feel like they have a full body yes, but it really is, they should make choices that make them feel self-assured and confident. And so it's an interesting authority because we think ego is so negative, but in this case of these folks who have this in their human design, like part of their karma in this lifetime is to really learn to be confident and self-assured. And so your intuition is going to feel like the thing that is like, I look at it and I say, I want that. And you go out and get it because it makes you feel good and it makes you feel empowered. And some people who have this authority can get into trouble because they judge those things that make them feel confident or self-assured, but they got to stop judging what they want and really go for the thing, even if it doesn't make sense. There's a quote from, I believe it's Erin Claire Jones, who's an amazing human design teacher. She says, what you want is your intuition if you have an ego authority. And there's 7 types in total, so we have 3 more. If you have a G center authority, you're somebody who really needs to talk things out. This is somebody who can hear themselves talk, and that's how they know what their intuition is. So not everyone needs to talk it out. Some people need to get quiet, but the G center authority, you really need to verbalize what you're thinking, verbalize what you're feeling, letting other people talk with you, not letting them drive the conversation, but it's more important for you to hear yourself talk, less about the feedback, but it's about how you are talking it out and hearing yourself talk. And through the act of just simply speaking, you're going to be able to hear your intuition louder. And so some folks really just need to, again, be with themselves, not talk to many people in order to hear their intuition. But for G center authority, it's actually very helpful for you to talk it out with multiple people if you feel like you need, because the more you talk it out, the clearer you're going to get and the more intuitively strong you'll be. which is so interesting. Not my type, but I think it's important to discern that everyone has a different type. And the mental authority is the only type in human design that encourages you to use logic and intuition.
That's
And so
me.
you have a mental authority?
Yeah.
Oh man. So I have some clients who have mental authorities, and it can be difficult because we're used to being run by logic, but we need to be pulling in both. And so this is only found in projectors. And so you have a strong connection to like two different parts of your mind. I don't have this authority, but you can tell me if it feels like you, but it's like, I don't know which side to listen to because it feels like two distinctive pieces of you almost.
I've always felt like half and half. I won't get into
Mm.
it because you're teaching for everyone, but that's my feeling of like, no, I'm 50-50. I can go rational, I can go logic, and I can go 50% into it. Like there's moments that I'm very intuitive and there's moments that I pull in from logic.
Yeah. And giving yourself full permission. Hey, I'm both. Not everybody is both. You don't want to overdo it either direction, but trust your knowing that comes in through using those two parts of you. It's almost like you see the world differently from other people because you are a projector, and projectors are meant to see the world differently. You have the ability to see the world from 30,000 feet when the rest of us are like at 10,000 feet. And so your logic and your intuition are important for you to discern how to guide people because projectors are here to be guides. They're less here to be the doers and the executors, and they're more here to be the visionaries. And so I think that's really cool to be able to have both sides because it enables you to be a visionary for all sorts of people. And then the last one, and the rarest, this is only for reflectors. Reflectors are only 1% of the population. Like I said, I've actually never met a reflector. I would love to, because I want to pick your brain. Reflectors are 1% of the population, and a lunar authority is actually based on the phases of the moon. This authority is very different than how we live in modern day society, but in human design only, they say that if you have a lunar authority, you should wait a full lunar cycle to make a decision. And the decision that is the right decision is the one where it's like feels still right after 28 days. Society is not set up to accommodate that kind of a decision-making cycle, but this type of reflector is so rare. I'm guessing that they have maybe a different life setup that might enable them to actually make decisions this way, but they really need time, like a full month to hear their intuition. And so a big part of their life path is like, I'm going to listen, I'm going to trust that I'm going to have the answer, even if it takes a whole month. And as a generator with the Sacral Authority, that sounds very difficult for me to wait that long. But like I said, the reflector type is a unique type. And that lunar authority is rare, but if you have it, please let me know because I would love to pick your brain about what it's like to be you.
I have someone to connect you with who is into human design and she does human design readers and she's actually a reflector. And she said that she's connected with other people here in Santa Fe that are reflectors too. So I can put you guys in contact, Lauren. That's so funny that you said that.
I would love to just understand a reflector more. It's very
So
cool. Yes, please.
the, for all of us that are listening to this, we go to myhumandesign.com, we see what our chart looks like, and we will see on the right-hand side the authority. And that's where you want to look at everything that Lauren just went through, whether it's mental, whether it's sacral, whether it's splenic, like just all the different options. And what other suggestions do you have when we start looking into our human design and how to operate with it? Like, why would we want to utilize this for anyone that's new and unfamiliar with human design? Hi there, I have something really cool for you. I want to give you free access to my signature course called Manifesting Abundance, which typically sells for $997. You can check out all the details in the show notes. All you have to do to gain access is leave me a review on Apple Podcast, take a snapshot of it, and send it to help.thecouragetobe@gmail.com, and we'll get you set up with access to the course. You can also find other free goodies in the show notes. Go check them out. what would you recommend be our next step? So we've gone to the website, we've downloaded our chart, and what do we need to look for to be able to implement or work better with our human design?
So for most of my clients, what human design gave them is permission to lean into certain parts of their personality. So if you're a projector, my projectors have given themselves permission finally to delegate. And so just knowing your main type is going to be like a big permission slip to be more of who you are. If you're a generator, you have permission to follow what's lighting you up instead of what you think you should do, for example. And so, just spending some time on Google, Googling what is a generator can be super helpful. Erin Claire Jones has a great book. It's very easy to digest about how to read your chart, but also the easiest way is just to book a reading with a human design reader. I'm happy to read for you, but if someone else resonates with you, because we can look at how all the pieces fit together in your chart. I like to overlap your human design with your astrology because sometimes I really find that they work together anyway, but it's a very easy way for you to discern what's helping you and what is not in your habits. But I think, the internet is a great resource. There's tons of people on YouTube who have great videos about each of the facets of your human design. And so just play with it and give yourself permission to be led through your intuition, if depending on your authority. See what it would be like for a day, a week to make decisions based on your authority. See what shows up. Like when I started trusting my sacral authority and started going with my gut, oh my gosh, I cleared up so much mental chatter because I was no longer deliberating like yes or no. I was just like, okay, my gut says yes. Okay, it's a yes. And it made things go faster. It just made me feel like lighter and I stopped overthinking. So
That's great. So that would be the next steps for us of just playing around and giving ourselves permission with that permission slip, like you're saying, like what authority are you? I'm like, oh yeah. For me in particular, as you're saying this, Lauren, I'm mental and I'm reading there that it says by stepping back, like the way you make decisions is stepping back and observing the situation from a removed point of view. And that's exactly how I am. Like with my daughter, yesterday she kept pushing and pushing and I kept saying I don't want to talk about this now. I'm going to say things that are going to bother you. Like I knew I could feel my emotions just escalating and it's exactly what I did. I made that decision. I'm like, we're not talking right now, we'll come back to it later. And so it gives you so much more freedom and permission, like you're saying, of like
yeah.
how do I want to operate versus how we've been programmed,
Mhm.
especially in patriarchal, like by patriarchy, like you have to operate this way, like this is how you make a decision. This is how you do like, and it's like, well, says who, like let's analyze and see who I am and have a better understanding of who I am to be able
Says
to,
who is a question that all of us could ask about anything that we are thinking. Says who? Because I want you to listen to you. This is for anyone listening. Listen to you, not to what the patriarchy especially wants you to be, but
yeah.
society at large. Listen to yourself.
This is great, Lauren. Thank you so much for giving us like the initial starting steps with human design. And we could do another little mentorship class about intuition to include here too. This was fabulous. Thank you so much for initiating us into human design and understanding ourselves better.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Hi there. I have something really cool for you. I want to give you free access to my signature course called Manifesting Abundance, which typically sells for $997. You can check out all the details in the show notes, and all you have to do to gain access is leave me a review on Apple Podcasts, take a snapshot of it, and send it to help.thecouragetobee@gmail.com, and we'll get you set up with access to the course.